Brady, Liz Batten says it means Wyoming is one of the best states for companies to do business. Regina, both applicants do believe mills can come back, especially if the right person is appointed.
As of just a few minutes ago, all flights were scheduled on time, but now they have delayed 2 flights leaving to Salt Lake City and to Denver. I am seeing some snow plows, as you can see right behind me, doing their job, so it is getting done. Police received a call around 9:45 this morning. Casper police and investigators were on the scene treating it as a homicide. The body was found in a snowbank right around this area. Organizations were able to raise $300,000. Tonight they expect to raise over $800,000. Standing here with me, I have Pat Condes from the American Red Cross, and she's going to tell us what you guys are doing to help the people out that's been evacuated. Pat, what can you tell me? Here with me is the Foundation Executive Director, Beth Warthen. Now, Beth, what will be discussed in today's meeting?
An SUV crashed into the Wyoming Department of Transportation's Lander office on Sunday is forcing some areas of the facility to close. Good evening and thanks for joining us. At around 6:30 this evening, Casper Fire Department received multiple calls of a structure fire on the corner of North Fenway Street and East A Street. The ceremony started with a tribute, a motorcade carrying in the American flag, followed by the color guard and our national anthem.
By the dawn's early.
Family, friends, colleagues, Governor Matt Mead and Senator John Barrasso came to give their respect to police officers fallen in the line of duty.
It is our solemn responsibility to pay tribute to law enforcement officers who died in the line of duty. And we're here today to do just that.
Since the 1800s, close to 70 Wyoming police officers gave their lives to serve us. 125 officers were killed nationally in 2015.
From Alabama, David Coley.
The last Wyoming officer lost in the line of duty was in 2011, but family and friends still carry their memories. The color guard continued their tribute, walking out to Amazing Grace. And raised both the American flag and Wyoming's flag to half-staff. This was the first time the memorial service was held at Wyoming's Law Enforcement Academy in the presentation of Wyoming's Law Enforcement Hall of Fame.
It's a very humbling experience to be recognized and receive an honor like this from your peers and people in law enforcement.
Douglas Chief of Police Lori Emmert was the first woman to receive Wyoming's Law Enforcement Hall of Fame nomination. It was officers from the Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police who say it's because of her hard work she was nominated.
Lori's contributed not only to the success of law enforcement in the state, but in her local community.
Too many of us take it for granted, but it's night or day, 24/7, 365. It's those men and women serving in law enforcement that allow us to sleep well at night, that allow us to put our kids in school and know that they're going to come home safely.
In any season, there's one thing that should always be checked.
Biggest thing I always say is, just come in, get your oil changed.
Allred says when you're getting your oil changed, make sure the mechanic also checks the fluid levels.
We want to check for any kind of leaks, water pump, radiator, is the radiators weeping, seeping, make sure the electric fans are working okay.
Some things you might consider having in your car are a water bottle, a tire gauge, jumper cables, and a spare tire. And don't forget to change your tires.
Winter tires, they're made of a softer rubber, so you really don't want to run them all summer long. They get really hot and they don't handle the heat and they wear out prematurely.
Also, check the wear of your tires.
If your tires are getting worn down a little bit, they don't have that tread depth that you need to keep good traction, hydroplaning is a very good possibility.
So before any vacations you have planned this year?
Be safe. I mean, it's the time of the year that people tend to start wanting to have fun and have a good time, and just make sure your vehicle's safe and ready before you go out and do it. That way you don't get yourself trapped and ruin your trip.
I closed my eyes and I put my finger to a map and I landed on Sheridan, Wyoming.
Kelly Olson needed to make a change. She was in an abusive relationship, had 4 little boys and a girl on the way. She was also taking care of her sick mother.
She just snatched me up and said, no problem, you know, we'll do this together.
With only $11 in her pocket, she set out for help.
All the organizations never asked for anything in return.
She was given everything she needed. She vowed to pay it forward once she landed back on her feet.
I wanted to pay it forward, and I wanted to make sure that no children anywhere near me within a 500-mile radius has to suffer the way mine did for those few days.
That's when Sheridan Angels was born. It started as a Facebook group with help from friends and family. Now it's a nonprofit organization with over 3,500 members. The goal was to help those in need at any time.
It was kind of, okay, who can help? And Kelly's the first one that came to mind. Sheridan Angels is what the name of the group is, but she is Sheridan's angel.
Diane Campbell came across the Facebook page and started sending people to Olson.
Anybody that has been sent to Kelly has received help of some kind.
She doesn't only help strangers, she also helps friends. When Dakota Trevino Bublitz had to unexpectedly adopt her niece and nephew, she needed clothes, and Olson was there in an instant.
She was like, come over, like no questions asked.
And although she's helped thousands, it may be her mother who she's touched the most.
She's gone through so much, and to continue to be so giving and caring, she just deserves this award, I think.
From an abusive relationship to now happily married with her 5 kids to paying it forward the way she was helped a few years ago.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here, and I'm going to spend my life paying it forward.
Jackie Wetzler, News 13, Sheridan.
Cannot thank this man enough, and I think the good Lord's looking out after us, bringing us Joe into our family, because he stays out there and he leases the property, but he's just a wonderful person.
There's a saying that goes, a good neighbor is a blessing, but for Brenda Ford, this saying may have a deeper meaning.
As I was coming over, I saw the fire. When I came over Outer Drive, I saw the fire, and I thought, oh man, the dump's on fire. It sure is blowing, and the wind's blowing, but I never dreamed it'd get clear this far.
Ford, a resident off Gary Dome Road, had been out with her daughter as the fire came within feet of her home.
And then my grandson called me. He said, Grandma, the fire's out by your house. I said, what? I said, Beauty's out there.
Joe Middleton, a neighbor of Ford's, had been boarding his horses at her house when he saw the blaze creeping closer and closer to their property.
The straw pile on the west side of Brenda's house caught fire, and it was flaming so hard there's nothing I could do except I run to the road and flag down a fire truck. And they came down and they actually put out the fire.
Firefighters couldn't see Ford's house from the main road, so Middleton stayed in the area to keep watch.
I stayed here the balance of that night, pretty near all night, putting out small fires that might encroach back into, and restart the fire.
But Middleton says he wasn't the only one looking after the property. He had a little help from above.
There was somebody looking after my stuff and Brenda's besides me.
Jackie Wetzler, News 13, Evansville.
When I walk in this hangar, I feel my dad everywhere because everything in here was a little project of his, and he always had a project going.
Jim Good's love for aviation started when he was a little boy.
The first chance that he got to fly, that's what he did.
Jim Good was a flight instructor, airframe inspector, aircraft mechanic, and a pilot. He turned a World War II Army Air Base hangar into an aviation museum.
He loved sharing flying and aviation with the public, particularly with little kids.
His collection began with his World War II era T-6 plane.
This is definitely his pride and joy, and it reminds me the most of Dad every time I walk in here.
It grew with his son's purchase of a 1961 Piper Cherokee.
I wouldn't have it if it weren't for Dad, because he helped me maintain it, he gave me a place to store it, and he wanted me to fly as well. I started when I was 16, and I've been able to continue because of my dad.
A racer in Reno, Nevada by choice and a commercial pilot for Amoco by trade all came to a halt when he found out his love of his life, Dixie, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
He stopped racing after that year to stay closer to her.
Even though he stopped flying, he continued to personally fund the museum through his estate. His son Ed hopes to continue what his dad started.
I know that Dad would be gratified and would love to have his museum stay open for the public to enjoy.
Before Jim died, Ed told him he was Wyoming's 2016 Aviation Hall of Fame inductee. Jackie Wetzler, News 13, Casper.